Brandon Sanderson has created such a rich world with a deep philosophy, multiple deep mysteries, strong theology, very well written characters, and yet it's still not enough. The Way of Kings for me was a three-star book, and I'm going to tell you why. But before I get into my book review on it, don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us what you think. Usually with my Brandon Sanderson videos, you guys really do tell me what you think. I don't really even have to prompt you guys. And also consider subscribing to my Patreon, whether you agree with me or not. You have early access to my videos, plus I'll be starting a book club on there as well. And thank you very much for your support. So, The Way of Kings, three-star book for me. I will not lie to you, for most of it, it was actually a two-star. I actually had it as a below average before the Sander-lanche literally was so great that I had to add an extra star to it. And I was thinking of adding, an extra half star to that to bring it up to 3.5. But 3 was sufficient. What can I say about The Way of Kings? The Way of Kings is one of, I guess, fantasy's gems and booktuber gems and favorites. The Stormlight Archive series is consistently ranked in people's top 10, top 15 at most book series of all time. It's always a weird one with me not liking Sanderson books. I'm quite a contrarian when it comes to him. The Way of King, it was rough for the first several hundred pages. Very, very rough. I had the American edition, the mass paperback edition, and I'm gonna sell it because it actually, I'm gonna sell it and then get, I know this is random, and continue with the the usual sort of paperback um height, because I don't know, the mass paperback version just has is a very difficult reading experience. I did not like it at all. But anyway, that's the version I read, and that's like 1,252 pages. I did not start getting into The Way of Kings into like a proper reading flow till about 600 pages into that book, which is crazy. Um, the beginning like 100 pages when we were sort of introducing everyone, I actually liked, and like in introducing the conundrum, I actually did like that, and I was like, okay. But then as we started to get more into people's stories, it started to really just bog down on me. And another reason why I wasn't really liking the beginning half of The Way of Kings was that it completely slowed down my reading. My reading grinded to a halt because reading The Way of Kings felt like a chore. It took me 2 months to get through this book, and it should have really taken me a month and a half or just over a month. And there are times I just didn't want to pick it up. There are times where I would read a few pages and just put it down because it just wasn't interesting to me. Not so much so, actually, no, there was a period of maybe 100, 200 or so pages where I was like, should I DNF this? Like, that's how much of a slog it was at the start. But I won't lie to you, that was primarily in my mental, because there's this Bookstagram account that I followed that posted about The Way of Kings, and she had DNF'd it as well, and I was like, whoa. So that's why I could understand why she DNF'd it, and it kind of made me tempted to do so as well, but I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because after page 600 I really got into the sort of normal reading flow. And then and the Sander-lanche, particularly what happens at the tower in the Shattered Plains, was the only time in the book where I was fully engaged and just flying through the story. And I was in the actual, like, I was in like a sort of advanced flow of the story. You guys understand what I'm saying? Where you're just so engrossed in it. So And that was good enough to add a whole star to it, because before that it was a 2-star book. So yeah, that's my general feeling on it. But for those who for somehow don't know what Way of Kings is about, it's quite difficult to explain because it is just so. In terms of Brandon Sanderson's imagination, I really just have to hand it to him. Like, real talk, like he is just out there. Like, it's just madness. And you'll see a lot of the BookTube videos. I've watched a lot of BookTube videos who talk about this book, who are like, it's very hard to explain. And to be fair, can't blame them. It is kind of hard to explain. But we're in this world called Rosha, and again, with like many different fantasies, different countries, different ethnicities, different customs, and we are mainly following three main characters, three main POVs: Kaladin, Sharlan, and Dalinar. Kaladin is a young man in his early 20s who grew up in, I guess, just a normal, poor family. Um, I'm trying to think what class he is, but like, let me just not even go there. His dad's a surgeon, and he's a surgeon assistant, and um, the aspirations of his father is to to send him off to like a different part of the country, different part of the world where they train surgeons, so that he can take over and become one, and become respectable and save people, and not save people by killing them on the battlefield, but save them in through medicine and whatnot. And Kaladin's really good at this, but his stories is actually quite fantastic. His family life and how he grew up and everything is actually quite cool. And where he is, I know a lot of people really, when I've read reviews and whatnot, they really identify with Kaladin. Kaladin's like the best character for them. His growth is his growth, and his torment is really quite something. He goes through a lot of grief, a lot of doubt, but he's quite brilliant. He picks up I guess, a staff, as a weapon for the first time when he's being challenged by some boys in his area, and he kind of and like, he has an epiphany, as he's quite good with the staff, even though he didn't know what he was doing, and so he is always battling. Does he become a surgeon or does he become a soldier? And really and truly, he kind of never stops with that battle. He has attributes that lend itself to like both professions. He was a really, really good character. He's a leader, a natural leader of men also. So he's quite cool. Charlene is a girl who is on a mission. Her dad has just died, and they are, about to be. I guess she's some sort of type of royalty, a minor house she's from, and they are about to be decimated due to the resources that their father had no longer being available. And this is sort of like a magical resource. This world is just super rich in magic. And so she is going to become the ward of this very, I guess, prominent and infamous woman, very, very clever, but she is looking to steal a magical object from her so that her family can use it. And so she's on a mission to actually be accepted as a ward, and she's deep into sort of the scholar life, because this woman is a scholar that she's attempting to steal from. I forgot her name. I don't know why, because she's an epic character. But I'm not even going. I usually have a teleprompter with everything, but I'm just going. I'm straight freestyling this, so I don't have the names. And I really liked her story. I liked her as a character. I liked her mission. There was a part of the story, because Brandon Sanderson really constructed or structured the story a weird way, where that first 600 pages of the book that I didn't really, that was a bit iffy on, she was missing for a big chunk of that. And I actually really missed her story, because we got Kaladin's and we got Dalinar's, but we didn't see Charlene for, I want to say, like maybe a few hundred pages. Well, it felt like it, at least maybe 100 to 250, and it felt weird. I didn't like it. I you know what? One of the things people sometimes complain about with multiple POV stories is that how predictable it is when they go from one POV character to the next, and they know who's going to come up next because it might be in order. I actually don't mind that. I actually prefer that. I again with the low score for this book, the way things are structured at times with the POV allocations didn't lend itself to the story, but it is what it is. Anyway, Charlene, we learn about her. She is engrossed in all types of stuff as well. There is, I really did like her. Dalinar is an older man. He's in his 50s. He is from one of the, I guess, more prominent houses. He's a Light Eyes. Here's me talking about class with Dalinar. I mean, with Kaladin. This is what I was saying. Kaladin is a Dark Eyes, and in this story, Dark Eyes are a lower tier, and then Light-Eyed people are higher tier, and they tend to be the nobles and royalty and whatnot, and leaders in charge. Dalinar is a Light Eyes. He's 50 years old. He's known as the Blackthorn, well respected, but he potentially might be going crazy. He's having visions of a past that is long gone, and he's getting messages through these visions to try and avert an upcoming crisis, a apocalyptic level crisis. And again, this mixed in with the deep theology and philosophy and just the magical lore that Sanderson has set out. And Dalinar is a tormented man because he's not that tormented. Well, he's tormented about, the visions, but he's on a mission because the king, which was his brother, was murdered at the start of the book by the White Cloak assassin, who we do learn about some more as the book goes on. And they are, this kingdom is now at war with the assassin's people because of the assassination, and they've been at war for years now. Dalinar has two sons, Adolin and is it Rhaena? I forgot his name. But he has two sons, and we mainly follow Dalinar as, he tries to navigate the political and the paranoia of the new king, who is his niece, and just all the madness going on with the light-eyed princes and whatnot, and they have a lot of power. So yeah, there's that as well. And there's more. I don't want to spoil things because there is a lot more, but this book it's above average. It's good. It's fairly good. I would say that. I'm gonna continue with the series because I'm invested in the characters. I really did like their stories. I want to see how it pans out. I know Wind and Truth did not get the best reception from a lot of the prominent booktubers, even though on Amazon and Goodreads the ratings are high. But I guess Sanderson is the creme de la creme at the moment. He's the golden boy of fantasy at the moment. So I guess even his quote unquote bad books would still get quite a high rating. But yeah, The Way of Kings, pacing was okay. It's the magic is deep and layered as come to expect with Sanderson. And I learned from my time at Mistborn and the comments I received in all my Mistborn and all my previous Brandon Sanderson videos, where it's like, you can't judge it off the first book. You can't even judge Sanderson off of one series. You got to read more. You got to read more. You got to understand the way he writes and how he adds so much nuance and complexity to his worlds. And I saw that with The Way of Kings. And, again, I'm going to continue with the series. I've got Oathbringer and Words of Radiance behind me. I used to have the mass paperback versions. I'm selling those. I'm going to get just the normal size ones, and I will continue with the series. Also, I had a video that I recently posted called, and I think it was a recent book haul. There was a video that I was talking about that I recorded while I was still reading The Way of Kings. And in that video, I think I talked about my preliminary thoughts on The Way of Kings and how it was going and whatnot. But I said in that video that it would take me years to go through this series because I wasn't really super invested in it and how it would be like super spaced out. But that was before I read the Sander-lanche. And ever since I read the Sander-lanche and what took place, I will probably get to the series a lot quicker than I initially thought I would. I still don't have a timeline, but I think it will definitely be quicker. The ending was just so good that I really need to get on with the story. And I'm hoping with Words of Radiance and Oathbringer and the following books that we getting straight into it. The 600-page slog that I experienced in the Way of Kings just wasn't it. And if the remaining 600 pages are what the Words of Radiance and Oathbringer are like, which to be honest, people do rank those as their favorite in the series. And if that's what the rest of the series is like, to be honest, in terms of how the story develops and the pacing and just the payoff, then I think that this series will be in good standing with me. I'll say that. Anyway, guys, let me guys know what you think in the comments. I know you guys will. This is a Brandon Sanderson video after all. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, consider becoming a Patreon. I do love reading books and I want to start a book club and get more people reading. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.